Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a nice 6-game NBA slate for you. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. Really do appreciate it, guys. Hope everybody had a good weekend. We definitely did well yesterday in college basketball and in NBA stuff. Hopefully today we will continue. We've been doing very well with NBA lately, so hopefully we can continue that here. Obviously, injury report is going to be pretty extensive today, so let's go and get into that one. For the Cavs, Allen is questionable and Thompson is out. For the Mavericks, Doncic is questionable, Kleber is questionable, and Lively and Exum are out. For the 76ers, Harris is questionable, and Embiid, Melton, Batum, and Covington are all out. For the Lakers, Davis and LeBron are both questionable. Vanderbilt, Reddish, Vincent are out. For the Hornets, Martin is questionable, Ball is doubtful, and Williams, Hayward, and Lowry are out. For the Clippers, George is questionable, and Zubik is doubtful. For the Hawks, Bay and Hunter are questionable, and Capella is out. For the Warriors, Wiggins is doubtful, Paul is out, and Payton is out. For the Nets, Simmons, Sharp, and Dorian Finney-Smith are out. For the Raptors, Barrett is questionable, and Podell is questionable. For the Pelicans, Zion, Jones, and Nance are all questionable. So lots of questionable tags today that can definitely open up some stuff. But we do have some core plays for you so far, but these are subject to change throughout the day. Make sure to join Discord too. Links are in description if you want to get more updated information about injuries as the day goes on. So do keep that in mind. Let's go and look at these core plays here. We're going to start with Cam Johnson for Brooklyn. He's been over 5x in 7 of the last 8 games. His price is coming down, but with all the injuries to the Nets, he's going to have a lot of potential usage and upside today. He should get plenty minutes, around 30 or more minutes on this one, and he's just a little bit underpriced for his potential here. His only really bad game was against Minnesota, so he's been really solid otherwise. And Minnesota's one team you kind of want to avoid defensively. So he's in this really good spot here against a team that's really average at defense this season. Cam Thomas is also playing very well lately. He's a little bit more pricey, but he's still in a good spot here. With all the injuries, he's been over 33 fantasy points in 5 straight games. I look for that to continue here in a very plus matchup. He's got a nice upside and should play a lot of minutes as a result. And then we're going to look at Kongwu for Atlanta. With Capella out, he's going to step in and be a big usage monster today. He'll be over 27 minutes like he has been the last 3 games as well. And he's been putting up big numbers. He should be a pretty good play on the slate. He's just really underpriced, and I was kind of surprised that he was this cheap considering the situation, but I guess they probably didn't change him in time for the Capella injury, but I do think he's a good play on the slate. Another guy that I'm very close to picking as a core play is Lonnie Walker, but he is contingent on him getting a lot of minutes. He's had 3 straight games over 27 minutes, which gives him a lot of potential here. He's got a low ceiling, as you can see. He's had a couple really bad games not that long ago, but as long as his minutes are up here, he's definitely somebody to consider playing, especially with all the injuries to the Nets. He's going to have to be a guy that can be useful, and is nice and cheap, which helps you pay up at other positions. So looking at some other GPP plays, we're going to look at Luka Doncic here. Now, he is questionable. I'm not sure if he's on the, which side of the designation he's more likely to play or not, because this is probably maintenance. Kyrie Irving is back, likely, so if Doncic were to miss, then obviously Kyrie and Tim Hardaway Jr. would get a boost, but he looks like he should play today, and he's been over 7 games straight with over 60 fantasy points, which is what he needs to pay off today. Obviously, he definitely carries some risk being a questionable tag, but he's definitely a good option on the slate if he does draw the start. Looking at Tyrese Maxey, Maxey's usage has gone up as a result of Embiid being out. However, his fantasy output has been inconsistent, and his price has come up a little bit more, which he's now over 9,000. That said, he still has that big-time upside, so he's definitely worth a look. And this should be an up-tempo matchup here against Dallas. If Doncic were to play, I'd probably be a little bit more hesitant to use him, but I think he's still a pretty good play regardless, though he is a GPP play on the slate. Then we'll look at Miles Bridges for Charlotte. Now, Bridges has some interesting upside here with Ball unlikely to play. Typically, when Ball's been out this season, Bridges, and since they've traded away Rozier, Bridges has been the top guy, and he's played very well for the most part. He's had a couple off games, but the Lakers are very suspect defensively, so he definitely has some nice potential here, though he does carry some risk. Looking at Brandon Ingram, Um, I really do like his potential today against Toronto. He's at the one position I think Toronto really struggles the most at, and with a lot of questionable tags on the Pelicans, he's definitely going to have some potential for a higher usage game as a result. If Zion were to miss, though, he would definitely become a core play for me. But right now, he looks like a pretty solid play at this point. Looking at Brandon Miller, um, I don't know what to expect from him on a day-to-day basis. This is a good matchup for him. He's played a ton of minutes with all the injuries to the Hornets. He does need a lot of fantasy points, which are 34 to pay off here, and he's had that in 7 of the last 10 games, with 5 of those being over 40 fantasy points. However, the other 3 games, 2 of them were under 20, which gives him a very low floor for his price. That said, he's definitely an interesting GPP play on this one. Looking at Podzimski, excuse me for butchering your name. He's been playing more minutes lately, and he's got really good usage and upside. With some increased amount of injuries to the Warriors, he's definitely going to have some opportunity to have more minutes, and he's definitely been playing late in the games, which is definitely helping this team. With Wiggins out, or likely out, he should have a full complement of minutes today, and he's nice and cheap enough where you can definitely utilize him on the slate. Another guy I really like today, but he is questionable, is Tobias Harris. Now, Harris has been questionable before, but with Embiid out, he typically has a big upside potential. Now, he didn't play the last game because of his illness, but hopefully he can be back today. If he is, and he'll become a great play for this slate, as he usually is a usage monster when Embiid is out, and he has that 50 fantasy point upside in those situations. But keep in mind, he did miss the last game, so we do want to make sure that he's back in at full strength. I have a few other players that I think have some utility today because they're mostly very consistent. Though they don't jump off the page as great plays on the slate, they have that consistency factor that we like to fill out the roster. So one of them is Nicholas Claxton. He's been over 5x in 8 of the last 9 games. He's got some really good potential at this price point. And he hasn't come up in price a lot, so that's been helpful. Sabonis is another guy that has some potential, though he definitely carries a ugly matchup here against Cleveland. Though he did do well against them last time out. He's been over 5x and or over 49 fantasy points in 19 of the last 22 games. I'm surprised that his price has not actually gone up a whole lot more than 10,000, but right now he's still in a pretty interesting spot. That the matchup is not perfect. Kawhi Leonard could actually be a sneaky play today with Paul George potentially out. He's been over 5x in 5 of the last 6 games, and he really seems to be the boss right now for this team. And so he's definitely a guy that I would look at when filling out the rosters. Oops, sorry about that. Jarrett Allen is a questionable tag today as well, but he's been very consistent lately. In 16 of the last 18 games, he's been over 5x at this price point. I really do like his potential here. The 2 games he didn't have were actually in 2 of the last 3, so that's a little bit of a concern. But his minutes should be good if he gets back to full strength today. But I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. He's only got left ankle soreness at this point, so he should be back, I would think. Then we're going to look at RJ Barrett. Now, Barrett has been, and Quickly both actually, guys, we're going to look at here. Barrett and Quickly both have been really good since joining Toronto, as they are both starting and playing a lot of minutes. RJ Barrett has been over 5x for what he needs in 10 of the last 11 games. He just needs a little bit over 33 fantasy points, and he's been at a bunch of games over 40, so he's got a lot of potential here, and he has a nice upside as a result of the matchup too. Then we'll look at Quickly. Now, he's not as safe as Barrett is, but he's been pretty good since he's joined Toronto. He get a ton of minutes as well. He also does get more assists than you think, and he's pretty decent at getting some steals occasionally. But since joining Toronto, he's been over 31 fantasy points in all but 2 games. He carries more risk than others at his price range, but he's definitely a capable option. And then last but not least, we'll look at Kuminga for the Warriors, who has been absolutely stellar lately, with the exception of the last game where he finally had a offloading game. And 8 of the last 9 games, he's been over the 5x point for his price today. Obviously, the last game against Atlanta, we really did expect him to continue that, but he didn't do very well and he fouled out. But he should get plenty of minutes. It's just a matter of him scoring enough points to pay off here. But he's definitely an interesting option on the slate. With that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. And have a nice day, guys.